Odyssey NBA insider Ryan McDonough. Insider calls brought to you by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Ryan, of course, former NBA executive GM, and he joins us now one day before the NBA draft. Ryan, the most important question today, of course, is it acceptable to put fruit on pizza, not including tomatoes, of course? Is that acceptable in your opinion?
Well, good afternoon, guys. Always great to be on with you, and absolutely not. I can go with a vegetable or two here or there, a pepper, maybe a mushroom, put as much meat as I can get on there, but fruit, no way. I'll pass on that one.
That is the correct answer. Number two, is Charlie Brown ever actually funny?
I haven't watched it in years. Our kids are too young to watch it again. But you bring up a good point. Now that I think of it, I don't remember really laughing that hard. I guess people thought it was funny when Lucy, whoever pulled out the football when the guy tried to kick it. But I personally didn't find that amusing, so I'm going to have to go with no.
You're 2 for 2, Ryan. I'm very impressed. Now, the third question is actually a legitimate question. We got to go with this. Our update guy, Jonathan, who's works on our show also, just asked us this question based on a rumor. Would we make this trade? If you're the Cavs, would you trade the third pick for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the sixth pick? And I said, I don't know enough about the difference between the third and the sixth pick I'm going to take in this draft. You do, so I'll put it to you. Would you make that trade if you were the Cavs?
I would. I would make that trade. I'm a big Shai Gilgeous-Alexander fan. Let me put it a different way, guys. I mean, look at what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's done with the OKC Thunder. Before that, as a rookie with the LA Clippers. There's a chance that some of the guards, some of the perimeter players in this league, even the guys drafted in the top 5, don't accomplish that or aren't as good as Shai has been on the NBA floor. So you get Shai and then you drop down. I think guys in the 6th pick range or Scotty Barnes, the wing from Florida State, maybe Davion Mitchell, the guard for Baylor, helped lead them to a national championship. So I would personally do that. I'm high on SGA. I know it's maybe a different tier of player in the draft, but it gives yourself 2 cracks at getting a high upside player, and you get the most proven guy out of all of them in SGA.
What about Evan Mobley at 3? Because I'm a big Mobley fan. I think he's got tremendous upside, and I want the Cavs to just kind of sit pat at 3 and take him if he's there.
Well, I think that's an easy decision if he is there, assuming, as most people that I've talked to around the league anticipate that Cade Cunningham goes 1 to Detroit and Jalen Green goes 2 to Houston, then I think Mobley is the pick and should be the pick at number 3. I have him ranked 3rd on my board. And let me put it this way, guys. A lot of people anointed Cade Cunningham from the start of this process. I personally think it's very close in that top grouping, those 3 guys in particular, Cunningham, Green, and Mobley. So I think the Cavs are in a great spot. And look, I personally like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, where if that deal were on the table, I'd be interested in dropping down from 3 to 6 and picking up SGA. But I understand why the Cavs may not, Kobe Altman may not do it. If he thinks Mobley has a chance to be a two-way star, which I think he does, then sitting pat at 3 and just drafting whichever one of those 3 guys is available, Cunningham, Green, or likely Mobley, is a prudent thing to do as well.
Do you have any concerns?
Go ahead.
Ryan, do you have any concerns about Mobley's work ethic? Because some people have said he's a little passive, don't know if he loves the game of basketball.
Well, no, I don't. But I'll take that with a grain of salt. I haven't done the intel that the teams do. In a front office, especially over the last couple months or last month in particular, when the teams have known where they're picking in the lottery, they really drill down on the intel. I imagine the Cavs have talked to every college coach and trainer and high school coach and AU coach and everybody around Evan Mobley and the guys in that range. That's one of the things about picking at the top guys is when you narrow down, you really can drill down pretty deep on those top prospects. So no, I haven't heard or seen any of that. I think sometimes when guys are like that big and fluid and athletic, I think they tend to get pegged with that. Is he tough enough? Is he physical enough? That was one of the potential concerns I've seen about Mobley. He didn't initiate a lot of contact in the college film I watched at USC. But yeah, I mean, he's long, he's skilled. If I go back and look at the pre-draft scouting report on Chris Bosh almost 20 years ago now, coming out of Georgia Tech, a lot of the same concerns were there. I think Bosh is a pretty good comp for Mobley. He's long and quick at 7 foot. Not a lot of guys have that flexibility and fluidity that Mobley has. And he also has a real nice touch in his shot, guys. I love when he shot the ball, it was almost impossible to block or even bother that shot. So the guy has everything physically you'd want a modern big to do, and I think he'd be an excellent pick for Cleveland if he's their guy at 3.
We're talking with Ryan McDonough, former NBA GM, now Odyssey.com NBA Sports Insider. Ryan, what is it like night before the draft? There's probably, obviously there's a lot of conversations going on. Take us inside that boardroom or wherever it is you would set yourself up when you were in Phoenix. What kind of pressure, what is Kobe Altman dealing with here 24 hours or so before the draft takes place?
Yeah, so at this point, guys, it's your final checks. You hope you have all the intel and all the medical information that you need. That's one of the challenges that doesn't get talked about a lot because I guess it's not that exciting. But, the players in the draft have no obligation to give even the Cleveland Cavaliers with their third pick their medical information. So you want to make sure you have all that your doctor and your trainer and the medical team is comfortable with the guys in your range. You're finalizing your board if that's not done already. And then the last 24 or so hours, which we're approaching now, before the draft starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, you're making a lot of trade calls. And that's it. And in Cleveland's case, I'm guessing they're more fielding trade calls. Instead of making them. I think they're comfortable with the third pick. I'm guessing they're receiving a lot of calls. The feeling I've got talking to a bunch of teams around the league is that there's a lot of interest in teams trying to move up in the draft and consolidate either picks in this year's draft or picks in future drafts to try to get into the top part of the lottery. However, it's going to be very difficult. I personally think it may be impossible to crack the top 3 to 5 in this draft because I think these guys are really good. The consensus around the league is the top players in this draft have a chance to be stars, and there are a number of them. So the teams, including Cleveland in that range, are very hesitant to part with those picks.
You said the Cavs are probably fielding more calls, and that makes sense, than they are making the calls. When you field a call on a trade as opposed to making it, are you to some degree in a position of power in that conversation?
Yeah, you are in particular in a situation like this because Cleveland is very comfortable staying with the third pick and picking third. As we discussed, it looks like it's likely going to be Evan Mobley. And there's also a hard deadline. Again, unlike the trade market, especially the off-season trade market, which can drag on forever, if a team calls Cleveland, one of the other 29 teams calls, they say, look, make us an offer. We're not going to bid against ourselves. We're not going to tell you what it would take, but we need to be blown away to move off of this third pick. So give us your best offer, or else we're going to stick and stay and draft somebody 3, and then just see if somebody does blow away. As we discussed earlier in this segment, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plus the 6th pick is a heck of an offer if that were actually made. But that's kind of the bar. You set an extremely high bar. Maybe you're tempted with SGA plus 6. Maybe not, but you're not really giving a whole lot of information because you don't have to. You're answering the phone and setting a super high bar and hoping somebody clears it, because if they clear it, you probably set yourself up with a number of good players and picks and things that can help your franchise, not only right now, but in the long term as well.
Hey, Ryan, what do you think ultimately the Cavs end up doing with Colin Sexton?
Yeah, I would look at Sexton to potentially be in play on the trade market this offseason. And here's why, guys. He's going into the 4th year, the last year of his rookie scale deal, and that means that he's eligible for a contract extension. So free agency this year, it's coming quickly. It starts on Monday, August 2nd, and then Sexton will be extension eligible until the night before opening night next year, which is coming quickly again in October with a condensed schedule. So I bring that up because Cleveland has had Sexton for 3 years. He's obviously developed fairly well. He has a decent amount of value around the league. At the same time, I think Kobe Altman and his staff, who drafted Sexton, developed him, know if they're comfortable paying him, $25-30 million a year or not. And if not, I think they do have to explore the market because I have seen it where guys who are feel like they're near max players, or maybe Sexton feels like he is a max player. I personally think he's short of that, where they get upset if they don't get an extension, and then that bleeds into the season. Now they do control the situation. The Cavs, if they don't do the extension with Sexton this offseason, they would have his restricted free agent rights next summer in 2022. But so I'd keep an eye on Sexton potentially be on the move, especially if there are initial extension conversations and those don't go great, and Cleveland, places a lesser value on Sexton than Sexton and his agent think he's worth.
Do you think the Cavs would take less in return if a team were willing to take Kevin Love's contract off the books with Sexton?
Well, I think they may at this point. I mean, given how unavailable Kevin's been over the last couple of years, he obviously worked out for USA Basketball. It looked like he was going to head to Tokyo with the Olympic team and got injured again. So I think, knowing a little bit about Kevin's medical history and looking at him with 13 years of service in the league and 2 more years under contract in the $30 million range, frankly, guys, teams view that as a net negative. They don't view it as an asset or not even neutral at this point. So if the Cavs, want to shave money, that's one way to do it, to take back, maybe a lesser player than Love. However, I think that, what they have to do is what's most likely is they have to try to get Love healthy. They have to try to rebuild his value. If he is healthy and plays relatively well this season, then he's going in the last year of his deal at the trade deadline, and especially next off season, I think you'd be more able to move them then than you would be now, with 2 years and about $60 million remaining on his contract.
Former NBA GM Ryan McDonough is with us. Ryan, obviously your Suns had a great season. They fall short in the finals after winning the first 2 games. So many people wrote off the Bucks down 0-2. They were down 0-2 to Brooklyn. They were down 3-2 to Brooklyn. They lost the first game to Atlanta. And they just keep coming back. Has Giannis... Is it prisoner of the moment to say Giannis is now the best player in the NBA? Or does he deserve that after an MVP, 2 straight MVPs, and now a title?
Well, I think he certainly deserves all the accolades that come his way. I mean, it'd be hard to argue that anybody's playing better right now. I think the exciting thing, if you're a Bucks fan or a fan of Giannis individually, is that he's still only 26 years old, and there's still a lot of room for growth in his game, which is kind of scary. Guys, I kind of go back to a young LeBron James when he left Cleveland the first time. He wasn't a great shooter, and then when he got to Miami, he added the 3-point shot, and then it was over. I mean, that those Heat teams went to the finals 4 times, won 2 championships, and then he won another one with you guys in Cleveland. So I bring it up because if Giannis adds a 3-ball, he'll be literally unguardable. There's no way to defend that guy. Right. The fact that he was able to dominate the playoffs and the NBA Finals in particular without making a lot of jump shots outside the paint shows you how physically dominant he is. And, guys, I'll admit it, I was wrong. I didn't know if you could win a championship in today's NBA with your best player not being a perimeter jump shooter. I guess the counter to that and what the Bucks did is that showed if you have the most dominant paint player in the league since Shaquille O'Neal was in his prime, then you can win a championship that way if nobody can stop him as far as getting to the rim and getting to the free throw line.
Who is your favorite right now for next year, Ryan? If you had to pick one at the moment, before draft, before the free agency, who's your favorite right now?
The Brooklyn Nets. They were my preseason favorite this year. Frankly speaking, I think they had a good chance to win the championship if they didn't have the injuries to Harden and Irving. So I think Brooklyn's loaded. Now, they do have a lot of their role players who are free agents. Spencer Dinwiddie, who missed most of last season, is a free agent, as is Jeff Green and Blake Griffin. So filling out the rest of the roster and their depth will be important. But I think if those 3 guys are healthy, especially the great Kevin Durant in his prime with James Harden and Kyrie Irving, and they can do a solid job surrounding them with role players and a decent amount of depth. They don't need that much depth. They just need about 8 guys in the playoffs, and I think they should be and will be the preseason favorite.
Any chance, Ryan, the Cavs end up drafting Suggs over Mobley? Would that make any sense at all?
It wouldn't to me. Now, I really like Jalen Suggs, too, the guard out of Gonzaga. I think he's going to be an excellent 2-way player. However, I have Mobley rated ahead on my board, and then I think with Sexton and Garland there and having played better and built some value over the last couple of years and are starting to develop, you would really put yourself in a difficult position roster-wise. Let me put it this way, guys. For front office to do that, they'd have to think Suggs is significantly better than Evan Mobley. I personally don't think that. I don't think they think that, or most of the NBA teams I've talked to have Mobley rated ahead of Suggs. So, it's a possibility, but I wouldn't put it as likelihood. I think if Cleveland keeps the pick, Mobley is likely the guy at 3.
Final question. Jeff Hornacek, Thunder Dan Marley, and Charles Barkley are in a hot dog eating contest. Who wins?
Well, that's a great question. I'm friends with all 3 of those guys. Jeff Hornacek was the head coach of the Suns when I was there. Marley's a friend. He coached here at Grand Canyon in Phoenix. But I'm going to go with Charles. I mean, how can you go against Charles with anything eating related? Judging by the waistline of Hornacek and Marley, they're still in good shape, and Charles, as we know, can put him down. So I'm going to go with Chuck.
But Ryan, if you watch the hot dog eating contest on 4th of July, the champion is Joey Chestnut. He's skinny as a rail.
I know. I know. Apparently, I didn't get those same genes because I ate a lot less than him, and I don't look like him. So I got to figure out what's going on.
Thanks, Ryan. We appreciate
Ryan.
it, man.
All right. Thanks,
Enjoy
guys.
the draft.